Welcome to the Chef Charles J. Show. I'm your host, Chef Charles J. Drayton, the owner of Exquisite Catering Cuisine, Exquisite Healthy Eats, Chef Charles J. Drayton Private Chef Events, and managing partner at Simplay. We can be reached by visiting www.exqcc.com. That is exqcc.com. You can listen to me every Tuesday at 5:30 Eastern Time on 103.9 FM, Long Island News Radio. In our previous show, we learned about the history of potato gnocchi and a story about how important details are in the culinary industry and in life. We are not detailed-oriented, especially in what I do in off-premise catering, leads to missing equipment, food items, tools for service, and a, not horrible, but a more damaging catering experience. Exquisite Catering Cuisine recognizes how important the details are in making a catered event successful. The importance of details is what sets us apart from the rest. We catered a 45th birthday party over the weekend, and the review we received was quite humbling. I'm going to paraphrase here from Steve, who wrote, "A special thank you to Chef Charles Drayton and the Exquisite Catering Cuisine team. His expertise, experience, and attention to detail turned my ideas into an event my wife and her friends will remember for years to come." And that's a memorable moment. That's what we try to do here at Exquisite Catering Cuisine. Not just cook for you. We want you to have long-lasting memories and talk about what we have done, talk about our food, talk about experience for years to come. He also kind of went on about his guests, talked about how good the food was all party long, and can't wait to hire us for their next event. So that's a wonderful thing, a wonderful review, and just something to put out there to everybody. Us small businesses, when we ask you guys to leave us a review, that's our advertisement, is those reviews. So please take the 5 minutes to leave a review, leave stars on our Google page. Because unlike the big conglomerate companies, us small businesses use those reviews to help us advertise on platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. So please take the 5 minutes it takes to leave a review for how well we have done, so we can use that for advertising purposes. I was looking, so again, to book your spring and summer events with Exquisite Catering Cuisine while dates are still available. So book your Easters on its way, communions, graduation parties, Memorial Day. You can give us a call at 631-562-8682 and visit our website, www.exqcc.com. Again, you're listening to the Chef Charles J. Show every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. So I kind of want to get into some details of essentials in the kitchen. Some of my top things that I will always have in all my kitchens, and I would like to start with seasonings. Seasonings are important to putting flavor in food. To be able to conduct some of the recipes we are talking about on the show. So let's talk about some of those seasonings that I think are essential in the kitchen. One of those are granulated onion, granulated garlic. Many kitchens I know have onion salt and garlic salt. You kind of want to control that salt content, but having granulated onion, granulated garlic is so versatile, whether you are doing it on chicken, on fish, on steak, is some of those essentials we need. Kosher salt. Kosher salt can be more evenly distributed on your food than table salt. Table is salt is called table salt, so because it's meant for the table. It's not meant to use as an apparatus to cook with. Ground black pepper, dried oregano, dried basil, ground cinnamon, and nutmeg. These can also go into your cooking cuisines and not just necessarily used for baking. Some complementary items are Sazon seasoning that you may see on the shelves in most supermarkets. I utilize this to, sometimes make Latin cuisine or yellow rice. You dump one packet into your pot of rice that you are going to cook, and it turns it yellow, and that's where you get the yellow rice from. Other items like cumin and Cajun seasoning will kind of put a separate dynamic on some of the chicken that you may be cooking, or steak or pork. Gives it some added external flavors and for your marinades. So another thing that another piece of seasonings that I think are essential in the kitchen. And let me hear from you as well about what is in your kitchen by going to my Facebook page or Instagram page of Chef Charles J. Drayton. Leave some comments of what is essential in your kitchen that you think, because you could disagree with what I'm saying about seasonings. Other items that I think are essential are your tools to kind of build a recipe, to make a recipe, and that are a vegetable peeler. Extremely important to peel carrots, your potatoes, celery, anything else that causes you to take a small section of it off when a recipe calls for orange peels. I think that's one of the most versatile tools that you'll need. A whisk, a metal spatula, a rubber spatula, and a heat-resistant rubber spatula. So there's two types of rubber spatulas. There is your standard rubber spatula that usually comes like white. That's more for your mixing, for your baking. And then there is your heat-resistant rubber spatula. And you'll see that on the packaging. That's used for when you're mixing something in a saute pan on the stove. It won't melt when it hits heat. So it is heat resistant. If you keep that rubber spatula on there for a long period of time, yes, it will melt, but you can scramble eggs with it while you're cooking it. You can mix your sauces with that rubber spatula, heat resistant rubber spatula. So I think those are another thing that is essential in the kitchen. Tongs, your different size ladles from your smallest to your largest. You're going to need a ladle in the recipe we'll be doing in the next segment. Wooden spoons, a strainer, and measuring spoons and measuring cups. A lot of recipes will require you to do a tablespoon, a teaspoon, a cup of this, a cup of that. Having those tools of measuring cups, measuring spoons, instead of pulling a teaspoon out of your utensil drawer, will give you more accurate flavors put into a recipe for what you're eating for dinner, lunch, breakfast, or when you get into baking, as we will do in future episodes of The Charles J. Show. Again, you're listening to The Charles J. Show every Tuesday at 5:30 on Long Island News Radio. Recipes can also be found on Long Island News Radio on Facebook. Some of the other essentials would be a cheese grater. Cheese grater are great for when you want to grate your own fresh mozzarella or cheddar cheese. Sometimes you can grate onions, or a recipe asks for grated orange peels or apples, things like that. Most of them have 4 sides to it where you can do your slicing, your grating, your mincing. It will help tremendously with your work. Some of the other things I want to get to is knives as well, and we'll talk about that in a little bit in the next segment in the beginning, and then I'll get into our recipe of the day and leave you with a question before I sign off in this first half. But real quick, some of the essential knives, I think there are 6 essential knives that you will need to accomplish all your cooking needs, and we will definitely talk about that in the next segment. So you are listening to the Chef Charles J. Show. I am your host, Chef Charles J. Drayton, the owner of Exquisite Catering Cuisine. We can be reached by going to our website, www.exqcc.com. That is exqcc.com. You listen to me every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time on 103.9 FM, Long Island News Radio. You can get our recipes at the Long Island News Radio on Facebook. You can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Chef Charles J. Drayton. Once again, that is on Facebook and Instagram, Chef Charles J. Drayton. I want to leave you with this. Where did the risotto originate from?